So police officers shot and killed a woman by the name of Takia Young in Blendon Township, Ohio. It's about 2 hours from where I grew up. Takia Young was pregnant at the time, so both she and her unborn child died. The video is tragic. We're gonna watch the video because I think this might be one of the instances that conservatives are getting their analysis about this police-involved shooting wrong. And I wanna walk you through what my thought process is on this. So the defense that I'm hearing from conservatives and from Republicans is that this woman was suspected of having shoplifted alcohol. Police suspected that she was the perpetrator of this crime. So they stopped her. She was in her car in the parking lot. She refused to roll down her window. She was not complying with their request. She resisted arrest, essentially resisted interacting with them in the way that she should. And then she turned her car and accelerated out of the parking spot. At the moment that she accelerated her car, one of the police officers who was standing at the front of her car, although towards the corner, kind of by the headlight, fired one round through the windshield, presumably hitting her in the head because she was killed by that one round. And the defense that I've heard from a lot of conservatives is that, well, she used a car, which is considered deadly force, and it is, I understand that, is considered deadly force. She used a car, she tried to ram this police officer. He would have therefore then had a reasonable cause to fear for his life, in which case use of lethal force is justified. That's the argument that I heard. And before I watched this video, that argument made sense to me. Just because a perpetrator, a suspect, or someone that's about to be arrested is not armed with a firearm themselves doesn't mean that they don't pose a lethal threat to police officers. I think Michael Brown is a perfect example of that. But I watched this video finally, and I've now watched it probably 24 times because the defense that I'm hearing from conservatives doesn't match what I see when I watch this video. So I want to walk through this video and watch it with you and tell you what I see and the problem that I have with the analysis that we're hearing from conservatives. So let's bring this up on the screen. Like I said, this is in Blendon Township, Ohio. In Blendon Township, Ohio, so you see the police officer by the window of her car. That's the first police officer. The second one, you can see his firearm. And then you see her turn her wheel to the right. It's very quickly, very quickly. I want to rewind this and show it again. I want to show it again. So watch for the police officer with the firearm in the bottom left corner and watch what Takia does with the steering wheel when she accelerates. So she turns it first before she accelerates. He's at the front of the car. He just barely steps to the side and she very slowly drives off to the right. So when I'm watching this video, I'm looking for her to use this car as a deadly weapon itself. I'm looking for a police officer who had reasonable fear for his life. Now, when I say reasonable fear, I'm not talking about whether he as an individual feared for his life. I'm talking about, would anyone in that circumstance be reasonably afraid that their life was at risk? And my analysis of this video is no. He was at the corner of her car. She turned her steering wheel completely to the right and then very slowly lurched forward. Now, there may be lawyers watching this show who are going to write into me and say that doesn't matter. This is a split-second decision. You can't tell if someone's going to slowly lurch forward or if someone's going to speed and ram a cop. This is legally justified, and perhaps that's true. But if it is, I think we have a problem. Because if that's true, that the expectation that this woman, even if she was shoplifting alcohol at 6 months pregnant, which is an abhorrent thing to do, even if she resisted arrest, which is also an abhorrent thing to do, and yes, let me make this point very clear, had she not resisted the police, none of this would have happened. This all could have been avoided if A, she didn't commit the crime that she was accused of committing, if she actually did commit it, and B, had she just cooperated with police. This all could have been avoided. All of these things can actually be true at the same time. But if police are justified using lethal force against a suspect because a car lurches forward slowly and the cop was standing at the upper corner, then it seems to me there's almost no limiting principle on when a cop could be justified using lethal force. So attorneys watching this program can better tell me based on Ohio law whether this was legally justified. Law enforcement personnel have been writing into me for the last day and a half because I posted this opinion. I posted my thoughts. I asked you guys over on X, formerly known as Twitter, am I missing something? Because I've watched this video 100 times, and while I see the car veer to the right, lurch slowly to the right, I don't see this using the car as deadly force to try to take this cop's life. So Black Lives Matter responded to the shooting in the way that you would expect Black Lives Matter to respond. They are twisting the facts. They are accusing police of systemic racism. They are accusing this particular police officer of being racist, although there's no indication that race played into this at all whatsoever. If there's evidence of that, show me. If there's evidence of that and it's obvious, I'll stand side by side with you and decry that. I don't see that there's evidence that race played into this at all. That doesn't matter to Black Lives Matter. Black Lives Matter just wants to demonize police because they don't believe in law enforcement, because they don't believe in the rule of law, because they want to destabilize our criminal justice system, because they want to topple the governmental institutions that make up our free society. So Black Lives Matter, of course, protests in Ohio. You can see this on the screen. And I don't agree with them. I think Black Lives Matter exploits tragedy. I think Black Lives Matter is an evil Marxist organization. And I think many conservatives, even good faith, well-meaning conservatives, analyzing the situation, don't want to criticize police, don't even want to question this because they don't want to appear to be associated with Black Lives Matter. And listen, I get that. I don't want to appear to be associated with Black Lives Matter either because they're a bad and evil organization. But it is a problem when conservatives blindly, quote unquote, back the blue. Police officers help keep our communities safe, and we're grateful for that. There are a lot of heroic men and women who serve in law enforcement agencies, but at the same time, conservatives have somewhat forgotten that police officers are agents of the government with a license to kill private citizens. Police officers are people who should be viewed with some amount of skepticism, not blind trust, because they are agents of the government who have a license to use lethal force against citizens. So I encourage conservatives and Republicans to make sure you're thinking independently about each and every instance. There's no one-size-fits-all analysis for every police-involved shooting across the country. That's the narrative Black Lives Matter would have you believe. That's not the truth of the matter. There are good cops and there are bad cops. There are skilled cops and there are unskilled cops. There are tragedies that could have been avoided but are legal. There are tragedies that aren't legal and could have been avoided. And it seems to me that in the case of Takia Young, certainly this was a tragedy that could have been avoided had she not committed the crime that she was accused of committing, had she cooperated with police. But the defense that I'm hearing from conservatives and Republicans that the cop was justified shooting her and her unborn child, killing both of them because she lurched to the right in her car, even if under the letter of the law in Ohio, even if that's legal, that doesn't sit right with me. Hi guys, it's Liz Wheeler. Don't forget to watch my show, The Liz Wheeler Show, every night at 7 p.m. on the First TV. You can download the free First TV app, or you can visit thefirsttv.com/Liz and start watching today.